There are some builds like Strand Titan that when you play them, there's just no going back. And this is one of those builds. No matter the content, this build absolutely cooks bosses. That is, as long as you don't miss. We get immense survivability, high ad clearing potential, and even fantastic boss DPS. So rally your fellow guardians, get your fire team ready, and prepare to witness Prismatic perfected. Remember to leave a like if you find this video helpful, and if you like seeing build videos and other Destiny 2 helpful content, consider hitting that subscribe button. With that being said, let's jump right on into it. The main focus or purpose of the build is to be able to nuke bosses. That way, when you're in raids, dungeons, or even hard content, you can get through the boss phases in less time. See, the more time you spend, the more likely you or your fire team will make an error and potentially wipe. So we do this by bringing Celestial Nighthawk to buff our Golden Gun and make it one powerful shot. Golden Gun is already super strong right now, since we're facing a ton of enemies like Tormentors that need you to hit a crit. So we amp this up to the next level by bringing the new weapon, Still Hunt, which is an exotic sniper that has its own super bar, which can be filled by hitting precision shots or picking up orbs. Once full, activate by holding your reload button to turn your sniper into a mini golden gun. The beautiful thing about this is that it actually synergizes with Celestial Nighthawk to turn it into one powerful shot. This means we can proc Radiant, go Transcendent, and then pop 2 golden guns at the start of every damage phase. So let's dive into the build and break down how it works. First up for our super, we are taking Golden Gun. When paired with Celestial Nighthawk, Golden Gun is one of the best options for a DPS super. With the final shape, we face a ton of dread enemies that need to be hit in the crit in order to do any real damage, which is what makes Golden Gun the best option. As for the abilities, we're going to be taking Gambler's Dodge so that we can dodge near enemies and get back our melee. This pairs perfectly with our melee, Combination Blow. Now, before you get up in arms about this being the 20th Prismatic build with Combination Blow, you can use any melee of your choice. But Combination Blow simply is the best option, for many reasons we'll touch on in a minute. For the grenade, I find that we deal a ton of darkness damage with this build, so I'm going with a Swarm Grenade to help get more light transcendent energy. Plus, with its recent buff, it actually feels pretty strong. And when it comes to the aspect, the first aspect that we're taking is Threaded Specter. Now, when we dodge, we create a decoy that will distract enemies, and when destroyed, it creates threadlings to deal more damage. This pairs perfectly for solo and team play, since decoys will help draw away damage for you and your allies. Plus, the extra threadling damage is always nice to have, and this is one of the main reasons why I like Combination Blow. Since we can use our class ability and melee to cycle between themselves, we can theoretically create a decoy after every single melee kill. This gives extra damage by creating a ton of threadlings, plus a ton of survivability by not taking any damage. And I also like to pair this with Gunpowder Gamble. Now, getting kills with abilities, debuffs, or solar weapons grants a stack of Gunpowder Gamble. At 6 stacks, you gain a stick of dynamite that you can throw at any time. Listen, I know this isn't everyone's cup of tea, but having an extra grenade that does a ton of AoE damage is just so much fun to use. If you don't want to run Combination Blow as your melee, then you can swap this one out for Ascension. You need to have an arc aspect or ability to pair with this seasonal artifact that we'll touch on later. As for the fragments, the first one we're taking is Facet of Protection. We end up being surrounded a ton in order to use our melee and dodge cycle. So this allows us to gain an added 15% damage resistance when we're surrounded. And I also like to take Facet of Ruin. This gives Ignitions a 20% increased radius. It also helps with shatter damage, but that's not really applicable to this build. Gunpowder Gamble is considered an ignition, so this will give it a 20% increased radius. And I also like to take Facet of Purpose. So based on your super, when you pick up an orb of power, you'll gain an elemental buff. We are using a solar super, so we gain restoration for 5 seconds. We create a ton of orbs, so having numerous ways to gain health will help keep us alive. We're also taking Facet of Bravery, so the grenade kills give volatile rounds to void weapons, and powered melee kills give unraveling rounds to strand weapons. I don't tend to use void weapons with this build, but I do use strand weapons, so this means with Combination Blow, we can basically always have unraveling rounds. And then I pair that with Facet of Courage, so that light abilities deal increased damage to enemies affected by a darkness debuff. As we mentioned, we will be spreading Unravel everywhere. So all of our abilities being light based, you can constantly deal more damage with your abilities. And for our last fragment, I take Facet of Hope. Now we get 60% increased class ability regeneration whenever we have a buff. This is a little bit redundant, but this helps a ton in case you dodge right as the nearby enemy dies and you don't get that melee back. So the gameplay loop goes like this. start working up your combination blow with your melee and dodge cycle. That will also make you amplified. In the meantime, use your strand primary to start spreading unravel so that all of your abilities will deal more damage. Continue to throw your grenades whenever you get them, and when you run low on health, start that melee and dodge cycle all over again. As long as you're not about to start a boss phase, feel free to pop that transcendence whenever you want or need to for extra damage and damage resistance. So let's talk about ways to improve the build. First up, for our stats, I am shooting for 100 resilience. In any endgame activity, this is a must. We have numerous ways to gain extra damage resistance, which will just stack with this extra 30%. After that, I like to shoot for 100 discipline. Our dodge and our melee recharge each other, so strength and mobility are basically irrelevant. And finally, I shoot for 70 intellect. Any higher kinda seems like a waste to me, but having a shorter cooldown for the golden gun will be nice to take out any mini bosses that you might face. All of the rest of your stats should go into recovery. And taking a look at our armor mods, first up, for our helmet, I am taking Strand Siphon, so that rapid strand weapon kills will create orbs. Orbs give weapon damage, restoration, and radiant, so we need a ton of ways to create them. And then I also like to pair that with hands-on, so now we can use that melee cycle as much as we want to get back more super energy. For the arms, I'm taking heavy-handed, so our power melee kills will create orbs, though this does have a 10-second cooldown. And I'm also taking harmonic dexterity. I like to pair my solar sniper with a solar heavy like Apex, and this will allow you to swap between your weapons a bit quicker to help put out more damage in boss phases. And finally, I'm taking impact induction, so that powered melee damage gives you back 12% to your grenade. For the chest mods, I'm going with 3 resistance mods. I usually like to take 1 harmonic, 1 concussive, and 1 melee resistance. We tend to get up close and personal, so that melee resistance really helps out. But if you are running an activity with a certain damage type, feel free to swap one of these out for an extra elemental resistance. As for the legs, I'm taking 3 solar surge mods. Since this is my boss DPS build, I'm taking 3 solar surges to deal a ton more damage with our golden gun sniper and our solar heavy weapon. This 22% weapon damage is massive for boss DPS phases. As for our class mods, I'm taking bomber, which is going to give 12% back grenade energy whenever we use our class ability, to help cycle back to our grenade even quicker. And then I also like to pair that with Reaper, so that whenever we get a weapon kill after dodging, we create an orb. And we've already touched on how powerful orbs are, which is also why I like to take powerful attraction, so that we can now easily pick up any orbs whenever we dodge. As for the artifact, there are 2 that are must-have and 2 that are wanted but not necessarily needed. For our must-haves, we have radiant orbs, so that picking up orbs give you radiant. Radiant stacks with both golden guns, so you want to have that extra 25% damage. And second is galvanic armor, so that you get 30% damage resistance while amplified. You can easily go amplified by using your melee a few times, and that 30% will stack with the 15% from surrounded and the 20% from prismatic, as well as our resistance mods on our chest, making it so that you take a lot less damage. And this is why, if you don't want to run gunpowder gamble, you want to take ascension to give yourself a way to go amplified. That I recommend taking our transference for increased grenade and melee damage while you're transcendent. Plus, you get back transcendent energy by getting weapon kills. I also like to take shield crush, so that while you're amplified or radiant, you get 20% increased grenade regeneration and 25% increased grenade damage, which will basically be all the time. We want to take a strand weapon in the primary slot. I recently got the Better Devils with reconstruction and adrenaline junkie, which honestly feels really strong with this build from how many grenades you throw. But any strand primary that you really like will do the job. We mainly want to use it to spread that unraveling routes. And for the energy slot, since this build is all about the double golden guns, Still Hunt is the only real option. So for our heavy, we want to bring a solar heavy, since we have 3 weapon surge mods that pair with our solar weapons. Apex Predator is probably the best option, but with how many tormentors and crits we have to hit, the new Speleologist machine gun with Envious Assassin and Target Lock, it could be a good option for general gameplay and DPS phases. So there you have it, Guardians. We've covered a build that focuses on keeping you and your team alive, clearing out a ton of enemies, and even cooking in DPS phases. Remember, mastering these builds is only the beginning. Experiment with different combinations and tweak your loadout to suit your playstyle, and never stop honing your skills. If you found this video helpful or just enjoyed seeing a new perspective, feel free to like the video and comment down below what you might change or how you'd improve the Prismatic Perfected build. Keep an eye out for future videos as we continue to explore the ever-evolving world of Destiny 2. Until then, may the threads of fate be ever in your favor. This is Lucky Mech signing off. See you on the next adventure, Guardians.